What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sinister-Cast. And in today's episode, you can probably tell that I'm in a different setting again. This time I'm in my car, and I'm up visiting my girlfriend. So that's kind of why I'm not at my desk with my normal mic and all that fun stuff. But today's episode, I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit of something you guys have been wanting me to do, and just a little bit of something else. So to begin with, I was going to talk about some of my absolute favorite metal albums of all time. Let's just get right into it. So my first, and these are in no specific order actually. This is not a top 10 list. This is not a top 20 list or whatever. There's no order, so don't get your panties in a bunch if you don't agree with one or whatever. These are just in a list. They're no specific order. They're just my favorites. So the first one would be Peace Sells by Megadeth. And the reason that this is one of my favorite metal albums ever is because it's such a good album all the way through. I mean, I could listen to Peace Sells from track to track to track to track to track over and over and over and over again, because all the songs are just so good. And the riffs and the guitar playing in it is it's revolutionary. And it was amazing for the time. I mean, it was nuts. And especially for the budget that they had, because they blew half their budget. I think it was on Peace Sells. But they blew half of their budget on drugs when they were doing that album. And it still sounds really, really good. I mean, it's dated. It's from 1986. But it's still really good. And I learned a bunch of songs from that when I was first learning guitar. So it sits up there as one of my most favorite metal albums of all time. Another one is Metallica, Master of Puppets. That's another great album, solid all the way through. It helped me in guitar playing when I was first learning how to play. And Master of Puppets was one of the first songs. I know, it's a hard song to play when you're first learning, but it was one of the first songs that I tried to teach myself how to play when I was learning. And it was one of my big goals. I'm going to learn how to play Master of Puppets and I'm going to get it down. So it really pushed me to practice more and get some of the harder techniques down and that really strong down picking that James Hetfield has. And it kind of propelled my guitar playing quite a bit. Another good album would be Imaginations from the Other Side by Blind Guardian. For those of you who don't know who Blind Guardian is, they're a German speed metal, folk metal band. They dedicated an entire album to Lord of the Rings and talking about Middle Earth and stuff. But Imaginations from the Other Side is one of their really, really good albums. Not saying that their other ones aren't, but this one stuck with me when I was growing up. Got a lot of solid songs in there. Really, really good speed, power metal, with a little touch of folkiness to it. And they're all around really, really, really good. I didn't really learn a bunch of their stuff because I was more of a Megadeth head and a Metallica head during that time. So I was really focused on them. But I used to listen to Imaginations from the Other Side all the time. It's just really, really good metal. Blind Guardian is an amazing band. I've gotten the chance to see them live in concert, and they're really, really good. So another good one would be, Black Clouds and Silver Linings by Dream Theater. That is one of the most influential metal albums in my life ever. Beyond all the Megadeth stuff and all the Metallica stuff, this album, Black Clouds and Silver Linings, that is such a good album. I mean, progressive metal, it's, heavy, it's dark, it's really progressive, and it's just so solid. I mean, the songs in there are amazing. A Nightmare to Remember is my all-time favorite from that, and that's the first track on that album. I still know how to play A Nightmare to Remember. I still often practice it. It's, a 16, 17-minute song. It's so good, though. It's really solid all the way through. I played A Nightmare to Remember when I auditioned for Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts, that I did get into, because you had to pick a song of your own choosing that showed off your skills and stuff, and I chose Dream Theater's A Nightmare to Remember to play for them, and they complimented me on how well I played it and how tight my playing was and all that fun stuff. But that's a story for another time. Another good album would be, well, actually, there's two. They're kind of tied. I know I said this wasn't like a list of like top 10 or whatever, but these two are kind of similar. They're both by the same band. It's Black Sabbath's Paranoid and Black Sabbath's Dehumanizer. Paranoid, you have Iron Man and the song Paranoid itself. And when you're first learning guitar, those are some simple songs that you can learn how to play. Everybody wants to play Iron Man. A lot of people do play Paranoid as well. So I spent a lot of time learning those songs and listening to a lot of Black Sabbath. And then Dehumanizer with Ronnie James Dio as the vocalist instead of Ozzy Osbourne. That was such a good album. It's insanely good. I mean, Black Sabbath all around is an amazing band. They've gone through so many different changes and so many different times over the course of their career. And they're just one of those really highly influential bands. So, man, it's getting kind of hot in my car. I'm going to roll the window down a little bit. So I apologize if there's some more sound. I'll turn my car off. Yeah. I hear church bells. Can you hear them? No, probably not. But let's see. What's another good album? Iron Maiden's Killers, one of their first albums. That is like really, really good. Almost more punky instead of the Iron Maiden that you know now. But it was really, really up to speed, fast. It was something different for the time, that new wave of British heavy metal. Really phenomenal music. I didn't learn much from Killers. I learned stuff from like a Number of the Beast and, The Trooper and Run of the Hills, stuff like that. That's more of the stuff that I was learning from Iron Maiden. But Killers was such a good album, and I just blasted through that album time and time again, just listening to it, and I'll still go back and jam out to it. Let's see, another good one is Mesmerized by System of a Down. Now, System of a Down for me is one of those bands that there's nobody like them. I think they get put in that category of new metal, NU metal, new metal, and I typically am not a huge fan of the new metal bands. With the exception of System of a Down, because apparently they're part of that. I would call them like almost experimental. Not that they're like crazy technically, but they're just all over the place. Their songs are just up and down, and they're really weird and odd and just crazy, but it's good. And, I used to learn how to, I played, what's it called? BYOB. That was such a good song, and I learned how to play that. It's a drop D tune, and it's such a good song. There's so much energy in it, and I really would get into that song, start headbanging all over the place as I'm playing it, and, all those fast, quick, little chunky riffs and stuff like that. And that album all the way through, to me, is really, really good. System of a Down's albums are all pretty much really, really good. There's only a few handful of songs that I don't really like. Most of their songs, they're phenomenal. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody knows who System of a Down is, or has heard of them, or listened to one of their songs at some point in time. They're just one of those bands that you have to listen to. Motorcycle. Or no, moped, sorry. Sounds like a hairdryer. Let's see, what else? What's another good album? I'll think of one more to keep this short. What other? No, two. Going back to my Bay Area somewhat Bay Area thrash metal roots, okay? Anthrax, Among the Living, and Slayer's Raining Blood / Seasons of the Abyss, okay? Megadeth, Anthrax, Slayer, and Metallica, the big four, highly influential in my life, highly influential in my guitar playing, and I listened to them back to back growing up, and I was just full on thrash. So Anthrax's Among the Living is just such a good thrash album. It's insanely good. And I tend to think of Anthrax as like the party metal type music. That's kind of what I think of. They're like the party, or like, I don't know. It's just kind of how I categorize them. It's like Metallica's kind of like the mainstream type thrash metal. Megadeth's kind of like the I don't know the more conceptual type. Slayer is like the dark, almost satanic side of thrash, and then Anthrax is like the partier thrash. And Among the Living is it's such a good album. Like, such a good thrash heavy metal album. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. It's so amazing. And that had huge impact on my playing. I would blare through that. I'd blare through Among the Living, Spreading the Disease, White Noise. I've gone through all of their albums. It's just, Anthrax was such a big influence on me. And then Slayer. Oh, God, Slayer. Rain in Blood, and Seasons of the Abyss. Amazing. I mean, seriously, the riffs in those songs, the breakdowns, the intros, the crazy, crazy playing by Kerry King. Oh, it's so good. Learning how to play Raining Blood, Angel of Death, all Seasons of the Abyss, all of those songs. They're so good. I used to learn a bunch of their songs as well. Kind of influenced my darker side of music. You can get into the heavier, darker, creepier side of stuff. And, Slayer had a big impact on that because the stuff they talked about was kind of controversial, I wouldn't call them satanic. A lot of people have the misconception that they're satanic, and they're not. They're just, what they talk about is somewhat satanic. It's really dark and fucked up, but it's so good. I mean, they're such a good band. They still play solidly. I saw them a handful of months ago. I saw Slayer, Anthrax, Testament, Lamb of God, and a band called Behemoth. It was an amazing concert. Anthrax, Slayer, Testament, they're all still reigning kings in thrash metal, and they're all still out there just banging their heads off. And all their albums are just phenomenal. Like, if you haven't listened to any of that Bay Area thrash, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax, Testament, Exodus, listen to all of them, because that's what I grew up listening to. I mean, I grew up listening to a bunch of different stuff like Dream Theater, System of a Down, a bunch of other stuff. My dad had a wide range of music that he listened to that kind of influenced what I listened to. But I focused on thrash metal all the time because I wanted to be fast. I wanted to have that energy. I wanted to be able to break something, start a mosh pit, Anthrax, Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth, all of them highly, highly influential on my guitar playing and who I am as a musician, and they're just phenomenal players. So, yeah, I've rambled on for quite some time now. I'm hoping my camera doesn't turn off from overheating, so I'm going to cut it now. So if you guys want me to do a more formal listing of my top favorite albums, maybe in a list order of which one's better than the other, let me know. Let me know of any other topics you guys want me to talk about in these Sinister-Casts. If you already have it, go check out the video I uploaded yesterday. It's a little bit different. It's kind of a behind the scenes of what you don't see in the making of YouTube videos. So go definitely check that out. I'll put a card up here and out here for you to go check it out. So thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.